What's going on, guys? The Arcane here, back with Dragon Ball The Breaker Season 2 video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about which areas are the best to destroy as a raider in Dragon Ball The Breaker. So we're going to go ahead and start with Rocky Field, since it's the newest map as the game, and we'll be right back once we load up. Alright, so we got our level 2 here as the raiders who now can destroy an area. So what's unique about Rocky Field in particular is that it has two novelty locations. One is Corrin's Tower, which is right here, which typically has really good items for survivors, like this power key radar, a golden rocket launcher, and a dragon radar. You can sometimes find super sodas and other good items there. But also we're going to be checking out Guru's place to show you guys what items are here as well. So we'll be right back once we fly over. Alright, so we're now in Guru's place, whatever the hell it's called. And here you find a soda, another soda, two sodas, a level 3 dragon radar. And also, if you guys didn't know, there's actually a little Easter egg. You can see Guru's chair that he sits on, which is pretty cool. If you guys didn't know that, you actually just look up top. You get here as a survivor, you're using the grappling hook or like a floating device. But yeah, so in terms of which areas are the best to destroy in this map, I would typically say Area D is probably the best, just because Guru's place has more supplies. But A and D typically have really good supplies. But the reason why I would destroy D over A is because Corrin's Tower is really easy to get to, and you can actually tell if the survivors went into Guru's house, because as you can see there, the door is open. So if you see the door open at Guru's place, maybe you wouldn't destroy this area. And you can't really tell with Corrin's Tower. Unfortunately, there's no real way to tell. I mean, you could physically fly over there, then destroy the area. But if, say, both Guru's place was hit up and Corrin's Tower was hit up, I feel like you can kind of choose whatever area you like. But typically the cities are the best places to choose. There's a lot of hiding spots, there's a lot of civilians, there's a lot of soda machines. So the city would be a good spot, which is Area E. Or you could do Area C or D on this map. But in terms of really good supplies, Corrin's Tower is really good. And obviously Guru's place is really good. So I'm going to go ahead and level up and destroy one more area. So taking a look at these areas, as you can see, we're in Area B right now. I know you can't see because my head is blocking the way, but we are in Area B, and there's a lot of machines over here. We got 2 here, 2 there. I believe we have 2 here as well. So that's 6 machines in Area B. So that's a lot of materials that you could be destroying, either manually by coming up here and taking them out with Key Blast. But if you just want to get rid of them as fast as possible, obviously Area Destruction will go ahead and do that. In terms of Area C, there wasn't that many machines in there, so if you're trying to limit supplies, definitely I would pick B over C. And A, from my understanding, does not have any machines at all whatsoever. It just has Corrin's Tower. And most of the cities, like E, will have machines. So we're going to go ahead and destroy B for this reason. Also, what's kind of interesting here is now you can also use this in pretty much strategies across the board when destroying areas. Now, if survivors want to get to Area C, they will have to cross Area X. And the reason why this is troublesome is because typically the raiders tend to like to fly in the middle of the map. It gives them a good lay of the land, because now I have a good visual of Area A, I have a good visual of Area E, and I have a good visual of Area C. And if they want to get to Area C, say if C is the last place where the key needs to be planted, I can kind of just see whenever a survivor is coming over to Area C, because they have to get through Area X to come over here, right? So this is a good way to kind of force survivors to go through Area X. So if there is an area, so say in this scenario, D and B are on the left and right, if there's an area in between that, you can destroy the areas on the left and right hand side. That way you force survivors to kind of have to, or they're forced to go through Area X. So I feel like that's a pretty good strategy as well. So we're going to go ahead and get our level 4 and choose which area to destroy next. Might as well just play this animation in case you guys don't really see it too often. I'm doing this in practice mode, so basically all the cooldowns are instantaneous. That's why I got the Powerball instantaneous here. So if I were to choose what area to destroy next, it also depends where the beacons spawn. Keep in mind the beacon for this area is probably going to spawn pretty far back here. And if you don't think you'll be able to reasonably catch that, I think the beacon spawns somewhere. I don't know, the beacon for Area E spawns pretty close in front, around here. So for me, I feel like I would take out Area A, just because I know some people like to hide in Corrin's Tower when things get pretty grim. Also, people like to do the same thing at Gru's place. So certain iconic locations like Corrin's Tower and Gru's place, they can't be destroyed. So that's why sometimes survivors like to hide in these areas, because they know they can't be destroyed, right? So now we have E and C remaining. I feel like these are pretty easy areas to monitor. Typically, I guess you could say that areas closer together are easier to monitor. So if I destroyed C, I would just be looking over E and A. So that might be better if you're playing around the escape time machine. But if you're not, then I feel like the areas I destroyed here are perfectly fine. But yeah, I feel like destroying D is pretty good. If you see that the door is not open for Gru's place, because Gru's place has a lot of good supplies and it's a good hiding spot. Corrin's Tower, although it does have good supplies as well, typically you're not going to be able to destroy it fast enough before survivors can get there. But B has a lot of soda machines. Also, E has a lot of soda machines. So it's really whatever you prefer. You want to destroy the city first or B. But the city might have a lot of civilians in there for you. So it's kind of, I leave it up to your guys' discretion. But we're going to go ahead and change to the next map and talk about which areas are better to destroy on Waterfront War Zone. All right, so we're on Waterfront War Zone and I got my level 2. So I'm ready to destroy an area. So typically the best areas to get supplies on Waterfront War Zone, in my opinion, is either C, which is right here in the city. There's a bunch of soda machines. Normally there's a lot of civilians, and of course a bunch of hiding spots with the buildings. But also I feel like an area that's really slept on in this map is Area B. I don't know what's with Area B's, but there's a lot of destructible objects here. You can normally get a lot of, sometimes I've gotten like 2 fat cubes from destroying all those objects. There's normally a couple of civilians over here. There's soda machines in these buildings. And yeah, overall, I think B is very, very good. Unfortunately, this spawn didn't really get too many civilians over here, but I'm telling you guys, B normally has a lot of civilians, but this time around, that was not the case. But 2 soda machines here. Typically, there's 2 soda machines in here as well. And other soda machines on the map, of course, spawned in Area C. But also, kind of follow the strategy I was talking about last map to make people go through Area X. I feel like you would kind of do the opposite here. Or instead of destroying the areas in between, so like so destroying A and B to make people go through X to get to E, I feel like destroying E can actually be annoying, because then people have to go through Area X to go through A to D, or they have to go all the way around the map to get to D, or if they want to get to A, they have to go all the way around the map. So eliminating Area E, I feel like can be really annoying for survivors. But in terms of going for supplies, I'm going to go ahead and destroy Area B. I think next we'll go ahead and do Area C once I level up. So from here on out, I would probably destroy Area E, or you can destroy Area A. And the reason why I say Area A is that way you can destroy the training area there. But for now, I'm just destroy C for its supplies. And I feel like this is a good way because now if you destroy Area E, now it's pretty much survivors have no places to hide. I mean, A can be really annoying because of the cave, actually. But I was going to go for the strategy I was talking about, so destroying Area E, basically leaving Area A and D and forcing them to go through X. But, you know what, I think I might destroy Area A just because survivors can hide here, and because this is an iconic location, I have a lot of time chamber, you cannot destroy this area, you cannot destroy this building, and survivors can use this to their advantage, hide in here, and they are pretty much safe from harm. And I know survivors with their bikes like to go through this cave, and it's pretty easy to break a raider's ankles by going through this cave with their bikes. So if you're really annoyed by Area A, I could totally understand you by destroying A first or later on the way. But in terms of supplies, I feel like B and C are what you want to go for first. But in terms of limiting areas for survivors to traverse or kind of like escape from you, A is definitely a very good target as well. So we're going to go ahead and level up one more time and destroy the last area here. Also, keep in mind there are actually some soda machines and other machines in Area A as well. So keeping that in mind, Area A actually is kind of seeming like a better area to destroy than I thought previously. But I do think destroying Area E can be quite troublesome for the survivors. But just for the sake of sticking to my guns, actually, I got to go ahead and get my level 4 here. The reason why I'm summoning Shenron in case, or instead of getting my level 4 naturally by absorbing civilians, I'm doing it this way because I actually am not sure if you can get to level 4 by doing civilians in practice mode, just because I think you need someone to, you know, take off Boo, you know what I mean? So just in case, I got all the Dragon Balls, just so I can showcase to you guys destroying Area A and what that looks like. So we're going to destroy Area A here. We're just going to get rid of the Cave of Terror that survivors like to use on their bikes, and eliminate some machines and the hyperbolic time chamber, so people can't hide in it. So now we just have E and D remaining. Keep in mind though that D is actually a pretty good spot for survivors in terms of the beacon. I believe the beacon spawns like right here, right behind this pedestal. And if they do get the beacon off and they do summon the escape time machine, typically survivors will go right to their left and kind of like hide behind this little, I don't know, little mountain here. And that'll pretty much cover them from all your ki blasts. So if you're playing around the beacons and you want to destroy specific beacons, maybe D is more so your priority. But I feel like in terms of supplies and hiding spots, I feel like the areas that I destroyed here is probably for the best. But we're going to go ahead and move to the second map. We'll be right back. All right, so now we're at Green Coast. And Green Coast can be kind of tricky in terms of deciding which areas are the best to destroy, just because Green Coast, I would say, in terms of all the maps, is probably the most survivor-sided, just because, dude, look at all these hiding spots that survivors have. Like, you can pretty much break the raiders' ankles in a lot of ways, just kind of using the terrain. So for that reason, you might want to take out Area A, just so, or E, just so survivors don't have much room to juke you out. But what's tricky about this area too is that the city is kind of split between B and A. Typically the cities are in one area, but this time, like this is A, technically. Sometimes the key is placed here. And then this side is B. So if you want to destroy the entire city, you're going to have to destroy area and B, or areas both B and A on Green Coast. But in terms of like the most survivor material or resource rich area, it might be C, just because typically there's a lot of survivors here. There's a bunch of sodas. There's stuff underwater where they can hide. So C could be pretty good. And what's funny about D on this map is that it's huge. D, in my opinion, is gigantic on this map. And there's been times where like I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to make it out before the area was finished being destroyed, just because of how big it is. So Area D could be a good way to catch certain survivors you know, off guard and take them out there. But just for the sake of supplies, I think I'm going to be taking out Area C on this map, and then we'll go from there and decide which other areas are the best to destroy. So I'm going to go ahead and take out Area C. Alright, so I was kind of looking around to see which area is the best to destroy in terms of supplies. And to be honest with you, it's kind of tough. But I'm thinking I might go for Area D, just because of the beacon, and also that this shit can't be destroyed, so like survivors can hide in here pretty much for free. So the beacon for Area D, I believe, is somewhere around here. And if they get the beacon in Area D, they're pretty much home free, because it's going to be very difficult for you guys to shoot them as raider. So they can pretty much just hide behind this shit. So for that reason, I'm going to misclick and do crazy finger shot. No, I'm going to destroy Area D. And I think from here, I might just destroy Area A, just because it has a lot of good hiding spots that we were talking about earlier. And it's going to be one of those things where like they have to go through X to get to B, and they have to go through X to go to E. So I think we're going to go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. I just want to show this to you guys in case you've never seen it, because I don't think I've ever seen it. Basically, Final Form Frieza taking a Dragon Ball from a Namekian. I don't think I've ever seen this, so I just want to hear like what the voice line is and whatnot.
You will give me the Dragon Balls.
I'm sorry, everyone.
That's pretty cool. All right, I've never seen that before. That's why I wanted to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and destroy Area A here, and then do that little strategy that I was talking about. So this is going to get rid of part of the city and some of the hiding spots in A. And it's also going to force survivors to go through Area X if they want to get to Area B. And I feel like this, I don't know if it's the best. You guys let me know in the comments below which areas you would personally destroy. I think the beacon for this place is like kind of like right here, if I'm not mistaken. But they could use the buildings as shelter to kind of help them out here. And there might be a beacon over here as well, I forget. In terms of area E, E definitely does still have some decent hiding spots. But I think A's might have been a little bit better, but there are definitely still some crevices that you could take here. But yeah, those are the areas that I think I would personally destroy. It's a little tougher for Green Coast, like in terms of areas where I think it's more set in stone. It's definitely the other maps. Where Green Coast, you can kind of get away with destroying any area you like. But I do think that C is probably one of the prime spots that you would destroy first if they didn't already place the key there. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the first map. I'll be right back. All right, so we're at Green Coast. Highland River, the OG map, everybody's favorite map, the map that's been in the game the longest. So in terms of prime time, best spots for supplies, obviously, what was I even saying there? Anyways, D is really good because it has a lot of buildings, normally has a lot of civvies, and of course there's a bunch of soda machines in here as well. But C also has a couple soda machines. I think there's at least 2 normally here, and this area is really good for survivors if they need to play around the ETM or escape time machine, because I believe the beacon is like right over here, and they can use these mushrooms to basically take cover from the key blasts from the raider. So if you're trying to play around ETM, C is definitely good to take out. And then over here in B is also pretty solid as well. Has a couple soda machines, has some buildings, and there's some civs in these buildings occasionally. And it has this spaceship. The spaceship is decent for survivors to hide in. Typically has decent supplies as well. And then there is Area A, which Area A I think isn't really a... It's an okay area. Like, I don't think there's anything really crazy here for survivors. So destroying it as a raider really isn't that necessary. I mean, I guess you can argue that they can like hide in the cave and whatnot, but I don't really see too many survivors doing that too much. The beacon for this area is normally around like right here. So I guess for ETM, typically what I do as a survivor, I'll like swim in this cave and then wait for like the coast to be clear, come up here, call the beacon, and I'll be on my merry way. So I guess for ETM, maybe destroying A is worth it for you. E is kind of another area which doesn't really have that much going on. I guess you could argue it's a good getaway area where people can kind of like move and bob and weave in between these little mountains here. And there's a lot of caves, a lot of caves in Area E. But for me, I do think the best area to destroy is probably either C or D. In terms of soda machines, they are available in D, C, and B. But for this, I'm going to be destroying Area D. And from there, we're going to go ahead and decide which area to destroy next. But I do think D is probably the best decision. But if the key has already been placed here, obviously you could choose the next option that I'm going to go ahead and pick. So we're going to go ahead and pause and level up, and we'll be right back. Alright, so this is a little tough too, because I think the ETM beacon for Area E, I think it's like right here. And if they call this, they could pretty much just go behind that mountain. And they're pretty much home free as well. But you could argue it's a little in the open, but if you're like kind of monitoring it from Area X, it can take a little bit to get to where that beacon is, which is about right there, I believe. So it is kind of tough to say which area is best to destroy, because also Area B has a very cracked ETM spawn location as well, which I believe is like kind of somewhere in there. And if they spawn it there, they have this whole mountain range here, which you basically can't, you have to be in B to destroy. So I feel like it's kind of tough if you're going to be playing around ETM, because all the ETM spots in the remaining areas are pretty good. If anything, D actually isn't that great. So if you're trying to play around ETM, maybe you should keep D, even though supplies are probably the most bountiful there. But if you're going for supplies, I would probably take out B. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Plus, it's also a good ETM location, so it's kind of a 2-for-1. So maybe I did make a wrong play there in destroying D, just because I would say it's good. It's a good supply spot. The hiding spots are kind of whatever. And the ETM in D isn't really all that great, in my opinion. So maybe the better options would actually be B, C, or E, or maybe even A. But it's all built on preference. So we're going to go ahead and get our level 4 and be right back to destroy the last area. Alright, we're getting our level 4 here. And also, I did kind of notice that we split the map up in an interesting way. Where now people also have to cross through Area X to get the C, so we kind of implemented that strategy that I was talking about before. So to kind of just like completely go ham with that strategy, we could take out E to force survivors to go through X, get area through C or A. But personally, I think I actually might just destroy C, just because I think in terms of ETM, it might be the best spot on the map, because those mushrooms, man, those mushrooms do provide a lot of cover for survivors. So I'm gonna go ahead and destroy Area C, and leaving 2 areas right next to each other is pretty good, whether you're playing around ETM or just the keys, because if they need to plant the keys, the keys, I believe, for A, the location is either here, back here, or like over here, I believe, somewhere. So with that in mind, it's pretty easy to monitor A and E since they're so close to each other. And that kind of goes true at most maps. If you leave 2 maps remaining that are right next to each other, that can be pretty good as well if you don't want to follow the strat where like people have to go, they're forced to go through Area X. But yeah, that's pretty much it with this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below which areas do you think is best to destroy, because obviously I might not have the best strat here. But I do think pretty much you should keep in mind where are the most supplies, which places have the best hiding spots, and which areas have the best ETM beacon locations. If you keep all those things in mind, I feel like that definitely comes a lot into play in destroying an area. And it's also, of course, this is a practice mode, like just kind of showing you guys which areas to destroy. In a real game, keys are going to be placed in areas you might want to destroy, so there's not really much worth in destroying an area where a key has been placed, because if you guys don't know, once a key has been placed and you destroy the area, it does not decrease the super time machine startup time. You probably should prioritize that over everything else. So with that being said, boys, that's pretty much everything I want to talk about with this video. In the comments below, again, let me know which areas do you think are best to destroy on each map. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more Dragon Ball The Breakers showcases, updates, guides, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, boys.